Hi friends, my name's Lisa. I'd like to welcome you today to this amazing art kit just featuring some really cool simple color blocking that really comes to life with some black contouring lines, circles, and different shapes. It's a really great project and I'm so glad that you are doing this with me today. Alright, so let's talk about some of the things in your art kit that you have. You've got a white piece of paper that I just put down on any surface that I'm working on just to protect whatever it is that I'm working on. And then you've got some bulldog clips that we use for hanging up our piece afterwards. Some double-sided sticky foam that we use to help this piece kind of have some of these really great 3D images. 2 paintbrushes, a towel for rinsing and drying our brushes, a brand new Sharpie fine tip marker. You've got your paint pots, and then you'll want to fill up that container halfway full with water for rinsing. And 2 of the items that I don't have in the kit that will be nice to grab before we get started is a pair of scissors that we might want to include if you want to add some 3D images, and a pencil with a nice eraser. Alright, so go ahead and push pause, and when you're ready we'll go ahead and start the video. So I'm going to set this original picture just to the side, and then let's talk about this canvas paper that you have inside of your art kit. There's 2 sides to it, a really super bright white side and a little bit more of a tan side on the back. You can either use either side that you'd like. I'm going to use this really nice bright white side because I like the contrast that it gives with the different colors. The paint pots that you have are pretty easy to open. I'm going to open it with the lids facing away from me, so if there's any air bubbles that might have gotten in there from traveling, they can kind of pop away from me on this paper that's guarding the table. So I'm just going to carefully grab one part of the paint pot in one hand and then carefully pry the lid open with the other hand just till it loosens on the top. I'm not going to flip it all the way open. I'm just going to pry it loose and do that for each of the paint containers. Just till I hear them click open. Then I'll set those to the side and then go ahead and pull those open. If I pop those all the way open and then try to keep opening the containers, then I'm going to end up with paint everywhere, and then I've got an amazing mess on my hands. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to work usually in 3 different color groupings and 3 different shapes when I do this color blocking. I like working in odd numbers rather than even numbers when I do pictures. I think it's a little bit easier for the eye. But there's a lot of different ways that you can put color blocking down in the bottom of the project that you're working on. So I want to show you a couple ideas on this scratch paper that I've included in your art kit. So we have some different ideas for color blocking. If I have a sheet of paper that's square, some of the different color blocking patterns that you could choose is maybe you want to do 4 separate color blocks, almost like window panes, that would fill up your paper. So one color you might choose orange, red, yellow, and that really pretty aqua or turquoise color that you have. Another option that I might do when I work on color blocking, if this is the size paper that I have, is I might choose to do 3 rectangle shapes. I can do them horizontal or vertical, and I would choose a color for each of those blocks of color that I have. So these are just to kind of get your imagination going and your creativity. I can also do some kind of abstract circles that are touching like I did in the original painting that I have. or I can do an independent group of circles that are scattered about on the paper, kind of in any format that I want to, or I can group them together in one corner of the paper. So really this is kind of up to your own creativity. So our first objective is to start with this beautiful piece of canvas paper. We're going to grab one of the brushes that I've provided for you, and I'm going to start with the square brush, and I'm going to start to lay down the color blocking in the background. So again, I'm just going to work in 3 nice really big shapes. And if the paint feels a little bit sticky, I can dip my brush in the water just to help that paint flow a little bit better. Because this is paper, I don't want to get the paper too wet because it's going to start to buckle. But I do want to make sure that all of the paint is pressed down into the paper so that it's nice and smooth when I go to use my pen. So I'm going to start with kind of a nice round shape at the top of my page. I'm going to start with yellow. Once I have my shape completed, I'm going to carefully rinse out my brush. I'm going to take the brush to the bottom of the cup and kind of give it a little scrub at the bottom. That way it doesn't agitate the water too much and have it spill out the sides. I'm going to bring my towel over and then dry off my brush. Then I'm ready for my next color. So I'm going to do a big spot down at the bottom of my canvas. Once I finished my second color block, I'm going to rinse out my brush, and then I'm going to start my third color. For my third color, I'm going to overlap slightly into the first one and the second one. just cleared off a little bit of my workspace. I moved the paintbrushes and the water and the paint just to the side for a few minutes. And on the scratch piece of paper that I've given you, we're going to work on just a couple of some of the contrasting line patterns. So on the original painting, you'll notice that we've got a couple patterns going on. We've got some really strong vertical lines up in the corner. They almost look like a little bit of a barcode. We have some spots going on, 3 different shapes, small, medium, and large, colored in circles. And then we've got a circle shape with a horizontal and vertical lines, and then a very free-flowing large circle pattern. So what I did with these different shapes is I look at the picture that I have, and I want to put in some of this really black contrast in my picture. So I want to make sure that all of the paint has dried thoroughly on this canvas pad. The Sharpie marker, if it hits any of the wet paint, kind of just dries out. So I'll come back to the paper and scratch my Sharpie marker to get the ink flowing again. So in order to give more time for my picture to dry, I'm going to start thinking about the areas on the canvas where I might want to put some of these spaced apart vertical lines. So I can put them up at the top or at the bottom, or I can change direction and do some horizontal lines, maybe off to the side right here. So that's where my pencil comes in handy. I'm going to add some of these lines up towards the top of the canvas panel, and to help me keep some of my lines even, I'm just going to run a very light line in pencil, and then free-handed with a Sharpie marker, I'm going to get the ink flowing on that separate piece of paper. I'm going to start to draw in and spaced out evenly those long black vertical lines. So I'm just starting with one simple line just to see how far out I want to bring those lines in towards that color blocking. And then I can start to thicken up the lines and determine the width. So I'm going to start to widen those out, and then I can color those in. So you can use a ruler to get super straight lines on this part of the project. I still like the look of hand-drawn images, so I still don't mind that lines look imperfect, that they aren't perfectly square at the bottom, that they're a little bit uneven. I like the characteristics of how pictures come out that way, that they don't look like they're a complete 100% digital print that's done on a computer. So I don't mind that so much. But if you like those perfect lines, then you can use a ruler. And then at any time you can stop the video if you want to work on a section longer, or you can fast forward if you want to take a peek at what's ahead. Once I've done that, I can come and I can erase that pencil mark. Another technique that I really like to use is kind of a full circle or a half circle. So somewhere on my creation, usually down in the corner, I'll start with drawing a half of a circle, a quarter of a circle, or some portion of a circle, and then I'll choose whether I want the lines to travel horizontal or vertical. So whatever portion of the circle that I've decided to draw, I'll still divide that section in half using a straight line. And what I really like about this canvas paper is you can actually see the lines running through the paper, so it helps to create really nice straight lines. And then what I'll do is I'll work in even straight lines, following the shape of the circle. So again, you could space these out with a ruler if you wanted to. Got a little carried away on that one. And then I will come back through with the pencil and erase that line. Now you don't have to start out with a shape drawn in pencil beforehand, but I am not very good at getting that circle shape without a little bit of reference on the paper. Next I'll find an area on the canvas, and then I'm going to do a completely round circle, but instead of having the lines going vertical, I'm going to put the lines going horizontal. And I'm not going to, for this one, make it quite so big. The circle would be pretty big. I'm going to do just a smaller circle, and I think I'm going to place it right about here. So free-handed, I'm just going to make a shape of a circle. It doesn't have to be perfect, thank goodness. I'm going to cut this circle in half with my pen. And I'm going to use that as my guideline and my launching pad to create my straight lines. Now it doesn't have to be circles, you can do triangles, rectangles. I do really like the circular pattern. You can try diamonds, hearts. Another pattern that I like very much is kind of this free-flowing circle, very different from the structure of the lines that we have. I'll take my pen on the paper and I'll hold it back towards the middle. Usually I'll hold the pen down by the tip, but I'll hold it back. And I'll start just with a free-flowing circle that repeats around itself several times. So I'm going to find an area, I think for this particular piece, since I moved this orange spot over, I think I'm going to have my circle come about right here. So to get my Sharpie flowing again, I'm going to put some pressure on my scratch paper, and then I'm going to start with my free-flowing circle. I think I'll do a small one there and perhaps a bigger one over here. Oh, I like how that looks. And another touch that you can add are these circles that we have. So this circle pattern is a small circle, a medium circle, and a large circle. So we can have these wrap around and come on the outside, and they can be attached particularly to one of our color block patterns in the back. If you don't want to use circles, you can use different shapes like triangles or squares. So you can actually do triangle patterns. And repeat that triangle pattern over and over again. Or you can do a circle pattern. And you can have those patterns move about through your composition. So let's take a few minutes to add some different shapes throughout our composition, and you can pause the video and then we'll see you back in just a couple minutes. Now that we've taken time to add some of the black contrast into our picture over the color blocking, one added technique that you can do, which is really cool, is adding just a little 3D element to your picture. So on just a little piece of this scrap paper that I have, I'll come over to my color palette, and using the brush that I haven't used yet, or cleaning off a brush that I've already used, I'll grab one of my favorite colors or a color that I haven't used, and then I'm going to paint a shape onto a little bit of this scratch paper. So I haven't used really a lot of rectangle shapes yet, so I'm going to just paint a rectangle. I'm going to set my brush to the side. I'm going to let this dry for a second here. And then what I'm going to do is, once I cut this out, I'm going to take a couple of these foam squares that are sticky, place it on the back, and then put it onto my artwork as a little raised 3D element. So I'm cutting out just a little tiny rectangle. I'm going to add a couple foam squares to the back. And I'll peel off the sticky pad. So I gave you a couple different sizes and some extra ones. You don't want to get too carried away with this, but just a few little elements on your page will look cool. So I like this little bit of area that I have at the bottom just to put a little bit of red in a vertical rectangle, just to kind of draw your eye down to the bottom. And I like the color red because it looks like it has a little bit of weight to it. So this is my finished picture. I'm going to close up these paint pots, and you want to make sure that those lids pop back on, and then you can take those with you if you'd like. I also included these bulldog clips. I'm not a big fan of putting holes in my artwork or push pins, so I use the bulldog clips, and then we'll put a push pin or just a little tack through the back so I can hang it on a wall or on a cork board, and it looks very cool, very kind of industrialized when I do my artwork. So I really hope that you enjoyed this project. I look forward to creating artwork with you again, and we will see you soon.